Hello. Today I want to talk about stress and how it can affect our negative thought patterns. It can affect how we feel, our emotions, our health, how we show up, our reality, how we see the world, a lot. So stress at its basic level is defined as our body's response to change. And we undergo so many different changes for various different reasons all through life. That's what life is. I mean, really, it's just a series of changes. And it depends on how we adapt to it. And that's inevitably what makes you stronger, what makes you more resilient. Some of the changes that we experience are sometimes big, sometimes small. What happens when we're under stress is our body goes through changes. Hormones are released, cortisol, adrenaline. We activate our fight or flight response. Very, very well known. And as humans, it's part of our survival instinct. So, you know the story. When we're faced with a lion chasing us, we're either going to fight or flight. And then the threat passes, and we can go back to a balance. Well, in 2018, almost 2019 now, we are in a constant state of fight or flight. We never get that opportunity to go back to balance unless we cultivate ourselves. It doesn't happen naturally. We are faced with so much information, and we are naturally becoming a more compassionate people. So we feel a lot more, right? We are gathering information, and we also have a lot more compassion. So we are really like a smartphone. That's how we are. That's how I am. I think we all are. Our brains, we have a bunch of different tabs up at the same time, and we're literally just, swiping left and swiping right. We're swiping them all. And we get pieces of information, and we're like, okay, am I going to respond to that? Am I going to react to that? Am I going to just believe that? Am I not going to believe that? Do I need to do something later? Then things come in, stories come in where we feel for people, and we have compassion, and are we going to respond to that? Are we going to act on that? Do we need to do something? Do we need to not do something? And so not only do we have physical stress, but we have so much emotional, mental, spiritual, physiological stress that happens to us, that because we just have so much more information, we have so much more access to information and to people and to resources now than ever before. So not only do we physically have to respond, but we have to respond with our minds, and we have to decide if we're going to respond. We have to decide what we're going to do about things again, or if we're not going to do something about it, and we have all these tabs, and we're just going to go here, go here, go here, go here. Do I believe that? Do I not believe that? Is this something that pertains to me? Is this something that doesn't pertain to me? I mean, we're constantly doing it. So now more than ever, it's important for us to make self-care habitual. And that term is thrown around a lot. For me, it's not really self-care as much as it is to routinely and habitually calm my central nervous system down. Calm it down. And so self-care is a very big buzzword right now, as far as it's really not a luxury anymore. For those of us that are really being mindful and stepping in, and that we want to do a lot, we want to take control of our lives, we want to make a difference, we want to help people, we're raising our families, and we really want to make a positive impact in the world. So it's not a luxury for self-care. It's critical. It's Our survival depends on it. Our effectiveness in the world depends on it. So for me, that means calming not just my body, but really using my mind to calming down those thoughts, recognizing them and calming them down. So a lot of things that cause us stress can sometimes be it can seem very small, something that, just anytime you have to make a decision, sometimes it feels like it sets off this chain of, of the fight or flight response, if just depending upon what's going on. But life changes are inevitable. They happen to us all. We see that now more than ever with social media and our connection to other people. We see just this constant change of people's lives. And I would say that, for an example, when a woman has a baby, she goes through just an astronomical amount of changes. So just everything changes. And if you plan on having a baby, you want to have a baby, but you don't really plan on all of these other changes happening. So not only are you going through these changes, but you're almost really surprised by these changes and in shock about these changes. And that's a whole other added stress. And then we start to try and figure it out. So I feel like just that alone is a great example of the different types of stressors that we experience. Having a family, if you want to have a family, it's great, but you don't expect this, right? Nobody, there's no guidebook. Nobody teaches you what to do or like how to feel, or there's this. It's this experience that you have to move through, and that's stressful. And so even though we wanted something, that doesn't mean that it's not stressful. Just because we wanted something doesn't mean that we're exempt from that change, from that stress. It's a change, whether we wanted it or not. And then I think that the other changes that happen are if you have there's expected changes, things with jobs and moving, and I don't think that you realize it until you're out of it. And then you kind of can see like, oh, wow, that was really big. That was a really big deal, or that was a really big change. And when you're in it, you're just really trying to stay present and getting through. But then it's after the fact that you can kind of reflect on it and say, oh, wow, that was a really big change. And then of course, just things that you don't ever expect, loss, things that you just don't plan for, or in your wildest dreams would ever have to go through. That's so stressful, and just a change that is, nobody knows what to do, and even when you're in it, you don't know always what to do, or how to feel, or kind of what that looks like, or how to move through that. So we're really just in a constant state of having to adapt to change. And the way that we can move through that is inevitably going to make us more resilient, right? It makes you more stronger. But for me, that resiliency comes from habitually calming down my nervous system and being grounded. And not just physically, but mentally with my thoughts. And there's a beautiful Christian song that really resonates with me, In the Eye of the Storm. You remain in control, talking to God. But it's a really good, it's just such a strong metaphor to visually see what happens when you're in the eye of the storm. And can you be calm? Can you find even just a mustard seed of calm and stability in that storm? And because I think that we're all in a storm all the time. Some are obviously greater and feel bigger. Some might feel small. And I wouldn't compare that to anybody else, because what's stressful for me may not be for you. What's stressful for you may not be for me. And we're all on our own paths, and we're all given our own experiences and challenges and opportunities and just moments of defining times. And the way that we respond to them, you know, how we move through that is inevitably what creates our resiliency and what helps define us in a positive way. It can certainly be in a positive way. When it comes to stress and negative thought patterns, it's really something that has been very helpful for me in moving through my stress. And I've always recognized that we need, I've always known that we need to ground ourselves in the midst of stress and prayer and meditating and finding that stable place that is not of the external world. But what really taught me how to move through that in a way that really resonates with me is to be aware of what my thoughts are about that. If I'm starting to feel nervous about something, and then my thought is, oh, I don't feel good, or I don't feel good about that, or oh, I don't want to do this. A lot of the time for me, you know, as being a mom that really is home a lot and focuses on the kids' activities and just the kids a lot and taking care of our home and those types of things and Nico's care and all of that, there's a lot of things I don't want to do. I have to do a lot of things that I don't want to do. And I mean, as moms, I think that we, you know, we would like to, and dads probably too, like I would like to sleep more. I would love to take a nap all the time. That's just what I would love to do. And so if it comes down to like, oh, I'd rather not be doing this, I'd rather be taking a nap. I mean, that can sometimes cause me stress, where I feel like, oh, I have all these things that I have to do. I don't want to do them. Why can't I just take a nap? And that's stressful. I mean, I'm laughing because, you know, it sounds funny, but it's true. Like, that can be stressful. And just doing things that we don't want to do. I mean, our kids, it happens to our kids all the time. But I think that as adults, we just kind of don't even think about it. And a lot of our stress and anxiety can come from feeling out of control in our situation. So getting back to stress and how it has showed me where I can stay calm and grounded more is that when we're under stress, we start to make our external experience, and that can include our thought patterns, more important, and we focus on them more. Because if you're being chased by a lion, you need to be aware of your external circumstances. Your life depends on it. So when we're under stress, we immediately go into a fight or flight response, and we make things mean more. So clutter starts to get more, start to get more irritated about clutter. You start to get irritated more about what people are saying and how that makes you feel and what you think about that. And I start to feel more out of control, and you want to control other things. The second thing that I notice is that aside from the outside clutter and making external things more important, is I make my negative thought patterns more important. I start to believe them more, like, oh, wow, maybe I really do need to worry about that. Or maybe I do actually, there's a real, I should be really afraid about this. Oh my God, like, oh, this sucks. Or oh, wow, like, no, you really are out of control, and that's a bad thing. It's always the fear voice. It's really the ego putting you on the spot and saying, you're not going to pay attention to me. This is really important. Like, you're really going to blow this off because you think that, you know, that you shouldn't be worried about this. You shouldn't be afraid of this. You shouldn't be paying attention to this negative piece here. So We got a friend of mine. We always used to call it the ugly microphone when you're being put on the spot and you have to then go ahead and defend yourself to yourself, right? Your fear voice, your ego is calling you out and saying, oh, what do you think about this? Don't you care about this? And like, yeah, no, I do. I really do care about this, and I should. And then there's more focus on these negative thought patterns, the shame, the guilt. We make it more real than the calm and the peace and the truth and the love and our true power, our connection to God, our connection to a higher power. I know. Yeah, you want your stool? Okay. And this. So what I'll do is, if I notice that my negative thought patterns are getting a bigger, deeper grip on me, then I will say, what is it that you're stressed about? What is it that you're being called to pay attention to? No, but really, well, what are you stressed about? And maybe it's tomorrow we're having company over and I have to make food and I'm really worried about that, but I know I have all these other things that I have to do before that happens. So, okay, well, you're allowed to be, yeah, you have to do all those things. And it's like, well, I don't even really want to do any of those things. I don't want to, again, it goes back to the nap. I just want to take a nap. I just want to take a nap. What would you rather be doing? Taking a nap. So, so if you're looking into the future about something, maybe for you it's, well, I have to go to work tonight. I don't want to go to work. I don't feel like doing it. Well, you're worrying about a future event. I mean, or yeah, even getting ready for tomorrow. I don't want to do that tomorrow or tonight or 5 minutes from now. You're future tripping. The anxiety, it comes from worrying about a future event that you're not guaranteed. We're not guaranteed 5 minutes from now. We're not there yet. And when we're there, we'll know what to do. We know we have all the information that we need right now to live in this moment. And that's really all that we have. We can prepare and plan, but worrying doesn't need to go along with that. The negative thought patterns don't need to go along with that. And if you notice that you're not just able to swipe them away, then ask yourself, what is it that I'm actually stressed about? Am I being presented with some stress here that would make me want to hold on to these, want to make me control these things more? Because we're controlling our thoughts. We're trying to control something because we feel out of control. That's what stress can do. And so call it out. And we don't need to say, well, you shouldn't be feeling that way, or like, well, who cares? Of course you got to go to work. That's your job. Like, get over it. Or, oh yeah, you're having people over. Is that the biggest problem that you have? That you're having people coming over? Thank God you have friends. We judge ourselves with gratitude. Like, you should be thankful. We just totally judge ourselves. I mean, it's swipe. Okay, swipe. Okay, I should be feeling that way, swipe. I should be feeling that way, swipe. I should be doing that, swipe. We're constantly judging ourselves. And then we start getting into that thing, well, oh yeah, that is true. I feel so terrible. And then we make ourselves feel bad. We let the stress make us feel even worse, instead of just recognizing the stress and recognizing the negative thought patterns that are attached to that. So if you notice that you're attaching yourself to negative thought patterns more, if the negative thought patterns have a bigger grip on you, they're catching you in your tracks, you're having to stop more frequently because you're not able to swipe, just stop and say, what is it that I'm feeling stressed about? What is it? And if it's a future event, you're not in the future. You cannot be worrying about a future event. It doesn't change the future. It doesn't make it better. It doesn't make things less likely to happen. It doesn't make things more likely to happen. It just makes you worry and feel worse. So let the future be in the future and get present. So getting present can be calming down your central nervous system, getting back into the moment. What was it that I was doing? Was I playing with my kid? Was I reading? Was I doing dishes? Was I driving? Was I working on a project? Was I on a phone call? I mean, what were you doing? And focus on what it is that you were doing and just get to the next moment. Sometimes I find myself between the times of like 4 and 7 p.m. I start to get like anxious because the kids are just free for all. Food has to be made by someone. And, you know, it's kind of this free for all period of the witching hour. And sometimes I find myself just like wishing it were, you know, 8:30. You know, I can't wait until I'm in my bed. I just want to go to sleep. Back to the sleep. Here. So I just remind myself, this will pass. Just stay present. Just focus on what it is that... Oh, no. Here. Oh, this one. Focus on what it is that you have to do in this moment. And just move through it. Oh, do you want the bench? Okay. Make a video if you want. Make some tea. Whatever it is that you want to do to get through that moment, you're allowed. Sometimes I think that I would think, I'm just putting a Band-Aid over this. I'm just, you know, oh, I'm gonna do this self-care activity, like, you know, smell this oil or make this tea or you know, listen to this music, and I'm just putting a Band-Aid over it, right? Because I actually have a problem. I actually am broken. Like, I'm actually not gonna get better. You know, I'm not gonna figure this life thing out. I'm never gonna, you know, be where I want to be mentally and emotionally and physically and in my life. I'm never gonna get to that. Whatever the story is that I tell myself of, like, that I'm not okay. And so sometimes I would do a self-care activity, something to make myself feel better, and then I would just start believing that the stress and the fear was real, and that the truth and the light and the experience of that moment of feeling a little bit better through that self-care activity, through that calming down my central nervous system, through that prayer, that activity was just, you know, something that wasn't real in the sense of you know, that it didn't matter. You know, I'll do this now. I'll do this now because I'm supposed to. I'll do this now because I'm supposed to, and it'll make me feel better. But, you know, these negative thoughts are still going to be there, and I'm still going to feel like crap or whatever. And I still feel like I'm never going to get what I need. And I think that I've moved from that place a lot, and I feel myself transitioning into a place of no, that's meaningful. That's meaningful. You're getting there. You're doing it. Like, you're okay. You're okay. You're gonna be okay. And I think that we need to be okay so that we need to remember that we're okay so that we can help other people remember that they're okay. And in these times right now where we're just overloaded with stress and bombarded with change and our whole lives, and for those of us who are mindful and paying attention and who are being called to make a difference and being called to you know, show up, I think it's very stressful. And is it time? Is it time? Are you under stress? It's okay. Yeah. So, I'm okay. You're okay. I'm glad we're all okay. But about stress, if you notice that the negative thought patterns are just gripping you, then ask yourself, what stress am I under right now? What is it that I'm going through? Don't judge yourself. Don't say you shouldn't be feeling that way. Don't say, oh, so-and-so is going through an even harder time. I shouldn't be feeling this way. I should be thankful for what I have. Just recognize what it is. What is your response? What is it that you're feeling? What kind of stress are you under? What are you going through? Okay. You're allowed to go through that. You're okay. You're okay to go through that. And then recognize if you're living in the future, if you're worrying about something that hasn't happened yet, and then if you can go back to the present moment and just get present and just say, this is what I'm doing right now. I can smell something, I can see something, I can read something, I can listen to music, I can taste something, using your five senses to get back into the present moment. And remember that you are connected to a power far greater than anything that you could ever imagine, and that power has never left you. God will never, ever leave where you are. And that's the truth. The fear is not the truth. The fear is the lie. The worry is the lie. The anxiety is the lie. The stress is the lie. I mean, it is a physical thing that's happening, the stress. That is true. But our response to it is coming from a place of the worry and anxiety is very normal. It's very natural. We all go through it. But getting back to that present moment of that power that is the eye of the storm is calming your central nervous system and being truthful and knowing that that's the truth. Thank you for listening. I hope this served you, and have a beautiful day.